Hi, welcome to the second live stream from Apphive to you. First of all, let me address the technical problems that we had last time. I believe it was on Monday. I had some problems with my devices, with my camera and my microphone that should be fixed by now. So this is the same live stream that was scheduled for Monday, but it is going to be today. So if someone could tell me if everything is okay, if you could hear me or there is some problem with my audio, I would be very grateful. So please let me know. In fact, I have someone from the Apphive team checking it. Thank you. They already confirmed me that everything is okay. So I'm going to proceed with the live stream today. Okay, let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to present my screen because we are going to get hands down into the workflow right away. Because the idea with these live streams is for you to be to know how to use Apphive. It's something of a tutorial and a showcase. So let's do that. To do that, I'm going to return to the one that I did in the live stream that had technical issues. I'm going to delete this project. Remember, this is your home page in which you can see all your projects. And I'm going to start a new one. It's going to be called, to start a new one, of course, you have to press this new project button. If you press it, you can create a blank template. In other words, it's a project without any changes. I'm going to put the name. The name is going to be to-do list English, like that. And it asks me to create an application because there cannot be a project without application. So let's create this one, client, because the application is the one that the client is going to be using. Next, it asks me to select an icon, a temporal icon for the application, or I can select the one that I already have. But let's start with this one. It could be changed later. Doesn't matter for now. So let's get started. It is creating the project. There you go. And this is the editor. First for all, let's add an empty page. Click here and here. And it is now there. This is an empty page. And in fact, I can run this as a preview. If I click here, see my application and the button that says launch. There you go. This is my application so far. So let's open my development console. To do that, I just press F12 in my keyboard. This is because I am using Chrome. That depends on the browser that you are using. It is almost always F12, but you have to check if it doesn't open. The other reason it doesn't open is because you don't have development tools enabled in your browser. You have to enable them. So let's continue. Next, I'm going to change the background of this page because I don't like that one. If you press here, you can see the style tab, and here you can click to change the background. If I go here, everything changes, okay, according to plan. The first thing I want to do for this application is to check if the user is logged in or not. This is very common in almost every application. You have to authenticate your user to know which user is using the application in that specific location. So Apphive has built-in functions to do that. And the session is stored in the device or in the browser. Okay, so let's do that. First, let's do a check if everything works. Here in the page, let's add an onload event. And in the onload event, let's add a debug log function. Remember, it's going to be run each time the page is loaded. And here I can put hello world, as is a development tradition. And let's refresh the page. And you can see here, hello world. That is why I opened my development console. About that, Apphive is trying to embrace the development community. That is why we put a function that actually logs to the console. Yeah, because there are a lot of things that developers enjoy, like code completion, a lot of tooling, like this one. that we are going to be using during our development in Apphive, so you don't have to miss out on that. Okay, let's continue. Then there is a function that checks if the user is already logged in. So let's check it out. This is logged in, this one. This function has two callbacks, as you can see here. It says callbacks right here. The first one is when the user is logged in, and the second one is when the user is not logged in. So let's add to the book functions, the book log, sorry, to the book log functions, and put here yes. And let's copy it by pressing this button right here and put it right back there. And this one is going to say no. So let's go back to our application and refresh the page. And you can see it detects that there is no user logged in. The next step is redirect the user to another page in which it could select the credentials to log in our application. So let's do that. Let's add a new empty page. Let's change the background color again. Let's put another one that is different from this one. And let's change the name of the page by clicking right here below. Double click, in fact, to select all the text and type the new name. It's going to be called out. Right? So now in this page, when it detects that the user is not logged in, instead of putting a debug log, let's remove that by clicking on the trash bin icon, and let's search for another function that it's called replace stop page. This function right here will remove this page from here and put this one instead. So let's do that and select the out page as the target page. So let's return to this one and refresh. Remember, English is not my first language, so as the streams go on, I will improve a little bit. But for now, sorry about the talk that the weird talking that I am doing right now. That doesn't matter. The important part is that you learn how to use the platform, right? So you can see the background color matches the one from the out page. In fact, I can do even more. Let's put a text here and double click on it to put out like that. Click outside of it, click again in the text, and you can see the resize anchors right here. I can drag them to change the size or the width of this text. So if I return here and press reload, there you go. I can see the out page, but I need to tell you something that you have to take into account. The page that is rendered at the start, it's always this one that is called page. I'm going to change the name to start page, to start, so only start. And it has this icon right here, and it's filled. The icon shows us which page is the first one to show in the application. You can see the page if you put something first before the check-in, but right now I can't see it. The reason is because it changes to the out page too fast, but I can log the unload of this page to show you that this page is the first one to be shown. The book log. There you go. Let's drag and drop this one first, so it will be executed before it checks for the user. And here let's put on load, and first let's put start dot onload. So I know this onload is the one from the start page. Let's refresh that, and you can see indeed it shows the start onload, but it checks if the user is logged in too quick for me to see the page in the interface. So instead, it almost feels like the first one is the out page, right? So let's continue now by putting here in the out page another check. So I make sure there is no user logged in when I enter this page. So let's put again the onload, and again the same function is logged in. And if the user is already logged in, let's return to the start page. Let's use the replace stop page again and put here the start page. Let's return to the application and refresh it. It should still be in the out page because there is no user logged in, okay? But now let's add the option for the user to log in here. Let's remove this out button and out text, sorry, and let's add a button. Double click to change the label of this button, and let's put here Google login. There you go. Let's change the width a little bit. There you go. And now here, when the user presses this button, let's add the event on press. And after that, let's add a function that is called login with Google. There you go, login with Google. When the user is logged in, here in this callback, let's return to the start page. So I replace top page and go to the start page. There you go. Now let's refresh. Let's do a brief of the steps until now. The first one is the start page is mounted. The start page checks if the user is logged in. The user is not logged in, then it replaces the page for the out page, which is the one that I am seeing right now in the screen. Then after that, I add another check in the out page. If the user is logged in, it returns to the start page. But as the user is not logged in, I remain in the out page. After that, I already add an event to this button that when I press it, the login with Google is started. Let's do that. Click. And you can see my development console is open. This only happens because I have my browser configure that when I already have my development console open, if I open a tab from here, it will open the development console as well. So if you don't see this one, doesn't matter, it's just normal. Let's close it. And here it shows me my Google accounts. Let's click on this one. And you can see it redirects me to the start page as expected. If I refresh the page right now, it remains in the start page because the user is already logged in, and you can see that in this log right here. So let's return to here. I want to redirect to another page when the user is already logged in. The other page that I want to redirect to, it's going to be called home. Let's do that. Let's add a new empty screen. Let's change the background again. Again, I will be using another background like this one. There you go. Let's again double click right here and type home. So the page has its name. And in the start page, let's go back to the events here in the download. And after I check the user, if the user is logged in, if the user is logged in, instead of printing a yes, let's add a function to replace the page and select the home page. So each time I enter my application and it detects that the user is logged in, it will go to the home page. Let's return to here and let's refresh. And there you go. We are now in the home page. Next, I want to give the user the option to log out from the application. So let's add a new button and double click on it. So change the label and put here, type in logout. There you go. And then let's add here an event on press. And after the event on press, let's search for the function logout. There you go, here, this one. And after the user logs out from the application, let's return to the start page. So let's put here, replace top page. There you go. And put the start page. So in order this will allow me to log out from the account, and after I log out, it will return to the start page. The start page will check if the user is logged in, and it will detect not log in, and after that it will redirect me to the out page. Okay, let's try it out. Let's refresh. Right now I am logged in, so the start page redirects me to the home page. If I click here, it redirects me to the start page. You can see that in the console log right here. And after that, it redirects me to the out page, which is this one, and lets me log in again. Okay, let's click again. Remember, this open because I already configured that in my browser. Let's choose the account, this one. And after I choose the account, I see the home page. Now that completes my basic login or authentication flow. You can see how easy it is and how straightforward it is to develop. So now I have my homepage. What do I want to show in my homepage? As this is a to-do list application, I want to show a to-do list, right? So in order for me to show a to-do list in my homepage, I need to store the to-do list from each one of my users in my database. My database is right here, and I can click here, Cloud Database Editor, and here I can add collections. Now, this is a simple example of a to-do list. So for each one of my users, I will have a collection with the to-do list of that user. So let's add a collection here, to-dos by user ID. There you go. And if I click on this one, you can see the first thing it will be saving is the user ID. So let's add this one. It doesn't make sense for me to put the user ID right here because this is the editor of the schema of the database. It's not the editor of the actual database. Yeah. Behind the scenes, Apphive uses real-time database from Firebase, but we think it is a little bit more useful if you have an schema just like the one from Firebase Firestore, but it uses Firebase real-time database. Okay, so after that, let's add here the list of to-dos from the user. Each to-do will have a name and a flag that says if sorry. Each to-do will have a name, and each to-do is an open to-do. If the to-do is closed, it will be transferred to another collection that is called to-dos by user ID, but this one is closed, to-dos by user ID, and this one has a name as well. There you go. It will be a little bit more clear why we are separating them instead of putting a flag in the same collection a little bit later. So now we can load these ones. But in order to load them, I'm going to change the name of this page to Home Loader. And this one is going to be the one that loads the application data, the to-do list, sorry, from my user. So let's remove the logout button from here and let's make the layout. The layout will be built with 3 parts, 3 containers, each one with the height set to a percentage of the screen. The first one is going to be 10%. The bottom one as well is going to be 10%. And the middle one should be the remaining space, which is 80%. There you go. Let's change the color from this one, so it will be distinguishable. There you go, and the bottom one as well. Okay, this is a very common layout for an application, so I'm going to copy it so I can have a scaffold to copy other pages from. There you go. Base layout is going to be the name. And after that, let's add some parts of the home page. First of all, I need this space right here to put my list of to-dos. So let's add another container right here. And let's change the size of the container. The width is shown right here. So it's going to be 90%. And the height is going to be 100%. So let's change that 100%. There you go. And after that, let's add another container inside. This one will represent each one of our to-do items. And the width will be 100%. And the height is okay to have it in 50. Okay. Inside each to-do item will need a text and a switch to indicate that the to-do is already completed. But for now, let's leave this empty. Now, here, instead of putting each item, sorry, I just told you that it will be empty, but no, we need to put a text so we indicate the user that this page is loading. So let's remove that one and put here an image. There you go. But instead of using an image, I'm going to be using a Lottie file. If you don't know what a Lottie file in simple terms is, just a JSON string with a lot of specifications that were created by someone in, I don't know, Adobe Illustrator or After Effects. Adobe Illustrator, no. After Effects, yes. From After Effects or other software to do animations, you can create Lottie files that will be exported as JSON and we can use them in Apphive. So if I'm going to go to lottiefiles.com because I'm not a designer, I don't know how to do the Lottie in After Effects, but I know how to download something, right? Loading lab, for example. I can search here for a Lottie file, and it will show me a list of Lotties or animations. I can sort them by price. I want everything to be free because I'm not going to pay for it. This one is from Arduino, I believe. It looks familiar to me. But what about this one? This one looks like a syringe and logic gates, I think. So let's choose this one, or maybe which one looks better? I like the simplicity from this one. Let's choose this one. If I click on it and I download it as a Lottie JSON, there you go. It downloads me a new animation. And if I return to Apphive editor and double click on the image and go to the upload file and click on choose, I can go to my downloads directory, and here I can see the Lottie. I can open it, and Apphive will detect it as a Lottie automatically and will show me a preview of it. If I select it, you can see the image is now the Lottie file. This will be my page when I load the the to-do list. Sorry, I didn't remember. We were loading a to-do list. So after that, I can create here an onload, and in the onload, I will be adding a debug log function just to show you something. I need the ID of the user that is logged in order for me to retrieve the collection with the to-do list from this user from Firebase. So in order to do that, I'm going to be using this entry bar. These ones are called entry bars. The entry bars are the values that I can evaluate to pass to functions. In this case, the function is the bug log, and the entry bar is the current user ID. So remember, the start page will redirect me to the home load page, and I changed the name of the home page, but you can see it is referred by ID, not by name. So the name is updated here as well. So let's run that by going to here and pressing F5. There you go. Now I can see the page that will load the to-do list from this user, and I can see the ID of the user right here. So now instead of putting a debug log, let's add database get, this one, and here ignore all these entry bars for now, and let's keep our attention on this button right here. If I press it, I open a new schema browser, and I can click here. So I tell the function it will fetch from the to-dos by user ID, and here now I can put the current user ID, so I only retrieve the to-do list from this user. There you go. Let's close this one. And after that, I'm going to go to the callback section. And the ones that interest me are, for example, the end callback. The end callback executes when the data is retrieved from Firebase. Let's put here a debug log function, and let's put here in the entry bar the result from the get database data. Return here, and let's refresh the application. There you go. There is no data in my collection. The reason is the user didn't put any to-do list in this part. So now that we have that, let's redirect to the actual homepage in which I'm going to be rendering the list of to-dos. To do that, let's copy this one. Let's create a clone of that page, and let's drag and drop it to put it here, and put here the label home. This is going to be my actual home. Let's remove the Lottie file because I already load my to-do list. And here is the container. Let's put the another container that will represent each one of the to-do list items. And let's change the background so I can see it better. There you go. And after that, if I go to the section right here, it's called the data section, and I click outside of this part, I select the page. You can see the page is selected by the frame that is here. If I select any other item, you can see it shows exactly the same frame, but with the resize anchors. The page doesn't have any resize anchors because it doesn't make sense for us to change the size of the page. It will be always the complete size of our device if it is a mobile app, or if you open it in the browser, it will default to this size. Okay. So now let's add here in the data section data that will be expected to come to the page when it is rendered. The first one that I need is to-dos, sorry. So this variable will contain all the to-dos that the user already has. So if we return to the home loader and go here, instead of putting a debug log in the end, let's add a replace to page. So I can select the home page, and you can see here an entry bar appears with the same name that I put in the data right here. That's important. So now let's select what is returned from the get database data. So now right here, I can add, instead of a get database in the onload, remember this was a copy from this one, so that is why it has a get database data. Here in the onload, let's just put a debug log and log the value from the page. To do that, let's go to the section right here, page data and to-dos. Let's refresh this one. And there you go. You have here the null. Let's remove this start on load. It's not longer needed. There you go. And here in the home page, after I load the page, I will create a list based on the information that is passed from the on home load page. So let's add here a collection, add collections to UI. The information that I will be using to create the collection is going to be the page data, to-dos. And if I press this button, I'm going to be opening this dialog that lets me choose which part of the interface will be the list. As I already put a container inside a container, it detects it as a valid one to be used as a list. So let's click on it. And let's go to the next section, that is list data. In list data, you can see each item individually. And you can see here the list item functions. Let's not move that for now, and let's refresh the page so we can see what happens. There you go. We can see the home page, which is this one, but you don't see any page right here. The reason is that I don't have any to do created. So I have to make a decision. For example, when the user enters the first time, I want him to add one to do, right? So I'm going to modify this page in order for each user to be able to add to dos. How I'm going to do that? The first one is going to, I'm going to add a new container by clicking on this one. Let's make this a little bit smaller. For now, the 44%. Let's select this one, Control C and Control V. There you go, to create a new one. Now I have 10, 10, and 10, which is our 30%. And this one should be 70%. So let's put that right here. There you go. And here is going to be the space when I put the input to add a new to-do to my list. So let's add a text button, a text field, sorry. This one is text, only text, but I need a text field like this one. Let's change the value of its width to 70%. And let's add a button to add the new to-do. And let's put here add. There you go. And let's change the orientation of this container. So instead of going down, it's going to be going right with this arrow. There you go. And now I'm going to let the user add a new to-do each time it presses this button. So in order to do that, let's change the name of this control to something a little bit more representative of what this input does. Input new to-do. There you go. Now I want to press this button, and when I press this button, I'm going to be using the text from this input to add a new to-do. So come here. Let's add a new event, and let's add again a debug log. This new debug log will read the value from the text field. So let's go to this section right here, and here you can see input new to do. That is why it is important for you to always name the inputs on your application. Not all controls, but only the ones that you are going to be referring from other ones. So let's click on this one. There you go. And let's return here. Let's go and refresh the page and click on this one. There is nothing in the input. That is why it's printing undefined, but I can type here, hello, and I can press add, and you can see the hello value is printed. Now that I have a value, I need to validate if the value is there or not. To do that, I need to use another function that is called valid, values valid, this one, and let's pass it the value from my input. My input is this one. There you go. And after that, it has two callbacks when the value exists and when the value doesn't exist. If the value doesn't exist, it doesn't do anything. But when the value exists, let's print it. Let's go back here and refresh. Now, if I press the button, nothing happens because the validation function says there is nothing in this text field. But if I type something, I get the value in the console. That's exactly what I wanted. Now, when that I know the value has something, let's add that value to my to-do list. To do that, let's save it directly in the database. To do that, instead of putting here a debug log, let's add here a save database. Save data in DB. And let's select the path to it. To do by user. Here, let's put the ID of my user right there. And after that, let's add a new value. Now, as it is right now, I can't have more than one item in each collection. Let's fix that by adding here another sub collection that is called items. Let's remove this field right here because it's not going to be useful to us. There you go. And here I'm going to be using a new UUID or a unique identifier that is it is a string to create a new item. And let's put a new field right here that is called name. And in the name, let's add the value from my input. There you go. So now I will be having a new item here inside my current user ID collection. And you can see the path is right here in the top part if you are a little bit confused by the UI part. So now let's return to here and let's refresh and let's add something. There you go. And if we go here to the collection database and go to the to-dos by user and view the data, you can see here my user ID. And if I open this one, I can see a new ID and the name of this to-do. Let's add another one. And you can see it right here. It has a new unique ID. And we can go on and on and on and on, adding new to-dos. The first thing that I need to do is to see if the list is loaded when I refresh the page. It won't be loaded. The reason it's not loaded is because I did not put exactly the query that I need in the loading, in the home loader. In the home loader, you can, if we open the get database data here, you can see I select from the to-dos by user ID, the current user ID, but I need to select as well the items. So all the items will be fetched. Let's go here and refresh the page. And you can see now it is working. I see this one because I didn't put anything to distinguish one item from the other. So let's do that. Let's come here to the home page and let's add a border to this item. If I go here and I go to the style page and let me find the borders part. I don't know where it is. Here it is. Let's put a border of 1. And you can see it has a border now. And let's change the color of the border to something a little bit more in tune with the application. Now let's refresh this one. And you can see I have 1, 2, 3, 4 items. If I go here and open the database editor and go to the add collections and open the collection the collections that I have saved, I have my user ID and it has 1, 2, 3, and 4 items. But I want to show the name of each item, right? So let's go back to the editor. Let's close this one. And here, let's click outside of here to select the page and go to the onload event. And inside the onload event, I have here the modify the add collections to Y, sorry. And if I go to the list data, I can select here the item and I can change properties from this item. Let's add two controls to this item to show the values from each to do. The first value that the first item, sorry, that I'm going to be adding, the first control, it's going to be a text. So I can show the value of this to do. Let's change the value of its width to about 50%. 50, sorry, 70%. Like that. There you go. And let's add, I am still thinking about it, but I'm going to go with a switch. And let's change the orientation of this one. Exactly the same that as we did right back here. And let's change the height of this text so it's always centered. To do that, let's go to the data tab and click Hey Auto. There you go. Now, if I refresh this one, you can see it creates a switch for each item. The problem now is that each item doesn't have the text here loaded. To do that, I need to go again to the page section and the onload part of the page and go to the modify elements and list data and click on this one. This one is the control that will be generated for each item. And here I need to select the property that I want to modify. In this case is the property name text. And after that, I go to the entry bar that prompts me here. And you can see there is a new section that doesn't show outside of it, of this one. This section is the item section, and it will only show if the user if the editor detects that you are inside a list context. So let's click on it, and now I can put the name of the property. No, I don't remember the name of the property. The name of the property is back here. Click on here. Let's add a fake ID. The property is called name, so let's add that. Modify elements, this one, text, and the property is from the list item, and the property is called name. There you go. Let's go here again and let's refresh the page. And you can see it creates each one of the items with the name of that item. Okay, now let's try to add a new item and see if the list is refreshed. Jorge, it doesn't add the new item. Why? But if I refresh, you can see it does add the items. The only problem is that the list wasn't refreshed when the item was added. To do that, I need to change something. When I click the add button, I save the data on DDB, and after I save the data, let's go and replace the page, the top page, let's replace it for the home load page. This will do something very specific. It will, when I press the button, it checks if the field has a valid value, and after that, it saves that value as a new item, and after that, it will replace this page for the home load page, which will refresh, sorry, it will get from the database all of my items and will render the home page. Let's try it out. Okay, it's loading my page. There you go. And if I add a new one, hello, and add, you can see it refreshes the page, and here there it is, the hello item. Now let's try to sort these ones out. How? Let's click here and modify elements and order by, and put here the property name. Let's go back and refresh. There you go. There are ordered by the letters that are in the to-do list. Now, there is another thing that I want to do, and it is I want to complete the to-do list when I press these ones. So how do I do that? Let's first add here another one. Hello2. Okay, it is working as expected. Now I want to complete the item when I press this one. In order to do that, I need to add a new listener here or a new event. So let's go there. And sorry, inside the modify elements, aquí in items functions, let's click on this one and add a new event. The event will be on change value. And let's add here a debug log function. So we can see the event triggering. There you go. And let's access the value from this element or from this event. Here in this section, you can see event outputs. Let's see what happened there. Refreshing the application and clicking on any switch, you can see the value changes as expected, right? So now when I complete the task, when I put this one on true, I want to change the value inside the list. Or again, I don't want to change the value. I want to move the item from this list right here to this one. Okay. In order to do that, let's change this one as well because it doesn't have to have the name there. I have to put an items collection, exactly the same as this one right there. And inside the items collection, let's put the name. It's exactly the same collection, the same shape of the other collection. The only difference is this one is going to be stored in my completed items, and this one is going to be stored in my not completed items. So now let's complete a task. To do that, let's add a new process that is going to be called complete task. Complete task, not task. Okay, let's add the ID of the task. And after that, let's add here and on trigger. The first thing that I want to do is read the value from the database. Get database data. Let's go here. Another input that I want to put here is the user ID. Because outside of this app process, I always assume the item that I am accessing is the one from the user that is logged in. But I want this app process to be a little bit more flexible, and it has to pass the user ID. So let's go here. Let's go to to-dos by user. Let's put here the ID of the user that was selected as a parameter for this app process. And let's go to its items. And let's put here the ID of the item. There you go. And after that, I can simply console log this value, right? There you go, get database data. Now, when I go here and the modify element and click on this one, instead of doing the debug log right here, let's call that app process task complete. And put here the ID. The ID of the item is the ID that I can access right here from this checkbox that is inside the list. And the other one is going to be the user ID, which is right now the current user ID. Let's do that and let's see what happens. Let's refresh this one so the list loads again. And let's click on it. You can see it prints the item that I have here selected. So now that I have the item, let's go back here. And you can ask me right now, okay, but why we are reading the value from the database when I have the value loaded here? The reason is one that I'm going to be illustrating a little bit further in the tutorials. But for now, the reason is because this process will be called from other parts of the application, and I want to ensure the information from the item in the to-do list is always up to date. The only source of truth that I have is my database. So if I can pass all the item here as a parameter, but I won't have the guarantee that that item is up to date with the database. That is why I only ask for the ID at the user ID, and I always query that item from the database. As there is only one property in this item, and it's not likely to have a little bit more properties, it's okay to read it each time I want to change the value, right? Now that I have the item value right here, I need to do two things. The first one is going to be saving this item in my uh, deleted collections, and the other one is removing this item from my normal collection. So let's do that. Let's remove this debug log, and here let's add a save database data. There you go. Let's open this one, and let's go to the close to dos by user, and let's put here the ID of the user that I put in my app process. You will be a little bit confused by this name, page data. It shouldn't be page data. It should be app process inputs, and I'm going to be using the user ID. Yeah, but for now, imagine it says process inputs here. Is not the page data. And after that, let's select the items, and here let's select the page data and the ID of this item. And now let's put here the name of this item, right? So let's go to my get database data and the name. There you go. So now I should, in theory, have a copy in my close to dos by user, right? Let's change the name of this function so I don't confuse it with any other one. Get item from the web. So if I open this one again, you can see get item from the web and the name of that item. Now, when this is completed, let's remove. Let's delete database data. Let's remove the information from the original place, which is to dos by user, the ID of the user. There you go. Oh, okay, but I put this one on the end part of the query. No, it's going to be in the data saved. So if this fails, it doesn't remove the item from the normal collection. So user ID, items, and page data ID. So now it removes the value from the original place. Delete data from the base. And after everything is completed, let's add a callback to this process that is going to be called then. And when the data is deleted right here, let's add the then callback. So I can signal other parts of the application that the app process is already finished. There you go. Let's go back here and the modify elements. And here, when I press the switch button, instead I put the task complete. And when the task is completed, let's replace the page again so I can reload the data. And let's put home loaded, sorry. And let's refresh this one. And let's click on this one. Let's click on this one again. Let's click on this one again. And you can see the items are disappearing from this list. The reason is that they are saved in the other collection. Let's go here. Let's go to to-dos user. And here are all the ones that are open. And if I go here, you can see there are all the ones that are closed. So let's continue and let's remove everyone. There you go. If I add another one, press the add button, other to do. You can see I can add any number of these ones. I want to remove this value from here because when I press these ones, I can add a lot of to-dos with the same name, right? Let's remove this value each time I add a new item. So let's go here to this button, to the on press event. After I validate that the value is valid, and after I save the data, before I do the replace, let's add a new function that is called modify control. The modify control function allows us to modify any property from any of the controls that are here on my page. So let's send here, let's push the spacebar and then the backspace, so I can have there an empty string. How do I know that there is an empty string here if it looks exactly the same as this one here? The reason that I know there is an empty string here is because this button appears, the X, okay? So now select the element. The element is going to be my input new to do, and let's select the property, and the property is going to be the value property. Let's check it out. Refresh it right here. There is my to-do list. Let's complete some tasks. And then I can come here and put hello. Let's add that there. And you can see the input is cleaned each time and add a new item. That is going to be very handy because it will prevent my user for putting the same to-do 2 times. Hello, add, do the groceries, add, and there you go. You can add any number of items to your list and you can complete it wherever you want. And the other advantage of this architecture is that you have an history of each one of these items. You can see here which ones are active and you can see here which ones were completed before. Okay, so now there is one other thing that we need from each item, which is the date in which they were created. So let's go to the to-dos by user. Let's add a fake ID and let's go to the items and add a new field that is going to be created at. So now each time that I create a new item, I'm going to be adding the timestamp of the date that the item was created. In order to do that, let's go back here to my button, and here before the modify control, there is the save data in the event. Let's open this, and you can see here the created at field. Let's add here a new value, and the value is going to be timestamp. This one. This is the JavaScript timestamp. It's a milliseconds timestamp. No, it's not Unix timestamp. So let's try it out. Let's refresh this one. Let's complete this one and do the groceries. And let's add it. There you go. It is added. And let's go to the database and view the data and expand this one. And you can see here the timestamp. If I copy this timestamp and go to the page epoch converter, I can see the timestamp as a readable date, right? A few seconds ago. So now let's save that timestamp when I complete the task. Okay, let's go to the close to dos by user. Oh, sorry, here is not the way to do it because I think I just messed up a little bit because here I need to put the current user ID, the items, I need to put here an UID, this one is correct, and there you go. Okay, let's close this one and let's try it out again. Okay, it is working. So now let's open the database editor, the schema editor. Let's select this collection. Let's add a fake ID and let's select the items. And here, let's put the same field created at. And let's test it out. Now, I'm going to clean everything because I want to start from scratch. Let's remove this one and let's remove this one. There you go. And let's refresh. Now I have no to-dos and I have no history of any to-dos completed. So let's do the groceries. And let's add it. There you go, it's here. And if I go to the database and go to the to-dos by user, I can see my to-do here, do the groceries with each unique ID and with the created at. Now I'm going to complete that item. When I complete that item, I expect to see it here, right? Let's do that, complete. And let's go back here. It is right here. If I expand it, here is the same ID, the same name, but there is no created at. The reason is that when I complete the task right here, and I save the data right here, I save the data here, and I didn't put the created at. I want this. This is, as you can see, this one is not resilient to changes. If I in the future add another field to these items, the field won't be saved when I deleted it, unless I remember that I have to put it here. So let's change that. I don't like that. Instead of using this save data in DB, let's use another function, save direct data on DB. There you go. And here I need a path and a value. The value, it's going to be the item that I read from the database. But the path, I need to build the path because the path is exactly this one. Let's copy this. Let's close. And let's add here a new function that is called string interpolation. The string interpolation function lets me create a string by putting characters here, and let's add some entry bars to it. Let's remove this one, save that in the base. Okay, I'm not going to remove it because I have here in the callbacks the other part of my of my transferring from the task complete. So let's add this one. Let's remove the new lines from the string. Give me a moment. There you go. There you go. And now let's change the values from entry bars. So first the user ID. Let's remove all of this. Let's add the $sign here. $sign and open and closing brackets. There you go. And I have here a new entry bar that is going to be called user ID. And when the string interpolation function runs, this one right here is going to be replaced for the value that it's evaluated from this entry bar. Let's do the same with the item ID. Item ID. There you go. Let's put the user ID. The user ID is the one from my app process. Remember, this one should say app process. And let's do the same with the item ID. Page data and ID. There you go. I have the string interpolation that is going to be called path to completed task. And here, let's put that path to completed task. And after everything is saved in the database, let's add exactly the same that I have in my save data.db. There you go. Because after I save the new item in the completed collection, I then delete the one from the collection that I already have. So let's put that one in the then. There you go. And let's remove this save data in DB. It does exactly the same thing, but the only difference is that I don't have to specify each one of the properties in the fields. I can just pass the complete item to it. So now let's open my database editor again. Let's go to here. Let's go to view data. There is nothing. Let's go here. Let's go to view data and let's delete this one. Okay, let's refresh. And I'm going to start from scratch, right? Let's add a to-do, do the groceries. And let's press add. There you go. This is the item right here. If I go to my database and my collection of my uncompleted or my normal to-dos, that my pending to-do, sorry, here you go. The name is do the groceries. It has a timestamp. Now, when I go uncompleted, if I go here in my collections to-dos by user, there is nothing. It deletes my to-dos from my item from here, and it copies it in my close to-dos by user ID. And it has the created that. If it happens that I add another field here to each one of these items, the function to complete them doesn't need me to add the field here because it already copies all the item to the new one. So let's close that one and let's test it out. There you go. Okay, that concludes our first video in which I'm going to be showing you how to use Apphive. In this one, we create a complete to-do app that has all the items saved in the database. I already showed you the basis of a non-relational database that is Firebase, and I already showed you the basis on how to create loading pages and how to create new collections. In the next one, we are going to be a little bit more deep in depth, a little bit more deep or depth. I don't know which one is the correct one, but we are going to give you a little bit more detail on how to refine the same application. In the end, we are going to be showing exactly the date that each task was completed. We are going to give the user the option to to check out the items that were completed before, and we are going to add more users to the mix. So I hope you like this one, and I hope you show up for the next one. Remember, you can ask me questions about Apphive, and remember, these videos are made for all the people that speak English and want to use Apphive, because Apphive has a lot of community in the Latin American part of the world, so a lot of Spanish there, and it is understandable for you if you don't speak Spanish to be a little bit hesitant to be using Apphive, right? I am your link with Apphive in English. So let's start out. So you can ask me question. I will try my best to answer them, and I will be doing a lot of videos each Monday on how to use Apphive. So have a good one. Bye.